Asterisk asterisk. Why are Jews and Arabs always in conflict? Asterisk asterisk. Ismail is an important figure in sacred scriptures, especially in Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions. His story is mainly recorded in the Old Testament of the Bible and in the Quran. Ismail was the firstborn son of Abraham and Hagar, Sarah's maidservant. The story of Ismail is deeply connected to the divine promise made to Abraham that he would be the father of a great nation. In Genesis 12:2, God says to Abraham, "I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing." In this statement, God speaks directly to Abraham, promising to make him the father of a great nation, blessing him, and making his name renowned. This promise is crucial for understanding the context in which Abraham and Sarah lived, and the circumstances that led to Ismail's conception, as an attempt to fulfill this divine promise. Before we continue, please help us spread this video by subscribing to the channel and giving it a like. I'm sure that God will reward you abundantly. Abraham and Sarah were elderly when they received the divine promise. Their old age made the promise even more extraordinary, as natural conception was unlikely. Additionally, Sarah had been barren since her youth, which made the situation even more challenging. The inability to conceive was a constant source of sadness and trial for the couple. The prolonged wait brought anguish and uncertainty. At times, Abraham and Sarah may have questioned if the promise would be fulfilled and how God could accomplish what seemed impossible. With the delay in having a child, Sarah suggested to Abraham that he take Hagar as a concubine so she could bear children through her. Abraham agreed, and Hagar became pregnant. In the time Abraham lived, around the 2nd millennium BC, societies were often nomadic, and family ties and marriages were crucial. Practices such as having a servant to bear children were a cultural response to pressures to ensure offspring and inheritance. The impatience, especially from Sarah, in trying to fulfill the divine promise through human means had negative consequences, resulting in conflicts between her and Hagar. These conflicts highlight the adverse consequences of decisions made with haste and lack of trust in God's plans. The situation became unbearable, to the point where Sarah threatened Hagar with death. Feeling oppressed and displaced, Hagar fled to the desert in search of relief. In the desert, Hagar was alone, facing the uncertainties of an arid environment. It was at this moment of solitude and distress that an angel of the Lord appeared to her. The angel brought a comforting and prophetic message, revealing that the child Hagar was carrying would be named Ismail. The angel also prophesied about Ismail's future, describing him as a free man, but blessed by God. This divine intervention in the desert not only comforted Hagar, but also gave a significant purpose to the child she was expecting. The name Ismail means God heard, reflecting the divine response to Hagar's suffering and circumstances. Thus, Hagar returned to Abraham's house, and after some time, Ismail was born. Abraham did not hide his love for Ismail, his firstborn. In Genesis 17:18, Abraham said to God, "Oh, that Ismail might live under your blessing." Abraham, concerned about Ismail's future and possibly eager for the promise of God to be fulfilled through him, asked God to bless Ismail. However, God had specific plans for fulfilling his promise of a great nation through Abraham's lineage. In response to Abraham's request, God renewed his promise and established a specific covenant with Abraham. In Genesis 17:19-21, God says to Abraham, "Yes, but Sarah your wife will bear you a son, and you will call him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. And as for Ismail, I have heard you. I will surely bless him. I will make him fruitful and will greatly increase his numbers. He will be the father of 12 rulers, and I will make him into a great nation." God reaffirms his promise of a great nation through Ismail, but emphasizes that the specific covenant for the promise's lineage would be established through Isaac, the son Sarah would bear. Later, the seemingly impossible happened. God, fulfilling his promise, revealed to Abraham that Sarah, despite her old age, would conceive and give birth to a son. This news was initially received with disbelief by both Sarah and Abraham. Upon hearing the announcement, Sarah, already old, laughed internally, as the idea of conceiving in old age seemed absurd. God, noticing Sarah's laughter, asked why she laughed, highlighting the uniqueness of the event about to occur. Isaac's birth happened as promised by God. The name Isaac means laughter, and his name is directly related to Sarah's initial laughter. The consequences of this event were profound. First, it marked the fulfillment of a divine promise that seemed impossible from a human perspective. Sarah's initial disbelief was transformed into faith with Isaac's birth. Moreover, the arrival of Isaac had implications for family relationships, particularly the dynamics between Isaac and Ishmael, son of Hagar and Abraham. The birth of Isaac heightened family tensions, culminating in the expulsion of Hagar and Ishmael, illustrating the complexities arising from human choices and the fulfillment of divine promises. Sarah's initial rejection and the subsequent expulsion to the desert placed Ishmael and Hagar in a difficult situation. The family dynamics were marked by tensions and feelings of abandonment. As a rejected son, Ishmael faced issues of identity and belonging. In the desert, Hagar and Ishmael experienced loneliness and uncertainty. The Bible highlights Hagar's distress at seeing her son suffer and Ishmael's struggle to adapt to an unfavorable environment. At one point, their situation in the desert became desperate. The water ran out, and they were facing the prospect of dying from thirst. In her suffering, Hagar placed Ishmael under a tree and moved away, unable to bear seeing her son perish. At this critical moment, God intervened. An angel of the Lord called Hagar from heaven and asked what was wrong. The angel then told Hagar to be afraid and promised that God had heard Ishmael's cry. The angel revealed that God would make a great nation from Ishmael. Then, God opened Hagar's eyes, and she saw a well of water nearby. She went to the well, filled a container with water, and gave it to Ishmael to drink. This well, miraculously provided by God, saved Hagar and Ishmael's lives. After this divine intervention that provided water in the desert, Ishmael and Hagar continued to live in the desert of Paran. Ishmael grew up, became a skilled hunter, expert in archery, and his mother arranged an Egyptian marriage for him. The Bible mentions that Ishmael had 12 sons, who were considered the ancestors of various Arab tribes. Genesis states, God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the desert of Paran and became an expert archer. His mother got him a wife from Egypt. This period in Ishmael's life highlights his skill and adaptability to desert life, as well as the continued blessing of God upon him. The choice of an Egyptian wife also underscores the cultural connections between Ishmael and the surrounding region. The Bible also records the marriage of Isaac's son, Esau, to Ishmael's daughter. So Esau went to Ishmael's family and married Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, son of Abraham, and sister of Nebaioth. The Bible does not provide extensive details about Ishmael's adult life, but it does mention that he and Isaac came together to bury their father, Abraham. Genesis 25:9 says, his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, near Mamre, in the field of Ephron, son of Zohar the Hittite. This passage indicates that despite the initial challenges, Ishmael and Isaac, as half-brothers, reunited to bury their father. The Bible mentions Ishmael's death, but does not specify the cause. These were the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. He breathed his last and died, and he was gathered to his people. The term Ishmaelite is used to describe the descendants of Ishmael, who became a great nation according to the divine promise made to Hagar and Abraham. These descendants are often associated with nomadic peoples living in desert regions near the Arabian Peninsula. Thus, the name Ishmael became not only a designation for a specific lineage, but also a relatively common and frequently mentioned name in the Bible. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Leave a comment about where you are watching from, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hugs and God bless.